Early voting is underway, so get everyone you know and go out and vote. Go tomorrow. It's just starting. Go and vote. Make sure you vote and bring all our friends that want to vote for us. Tell them, Jill, get your fat husband off the couch. Get that fat pig off the couch. Tell him to go and vote for Trump. He's going to save our country. Get that guy the hell off our... Get him up, Jill. Slap him around. Get him up. Get him up, Jill. We want him off the couch to get out and vote. Bring your friend.
Yeah, I guess that's one way to speak about your own voters. Bold strategy, Donald. Let's see how it works out for you. My name is Brett Meiselas here with the MeidasTouch Network. Donald Trump is in absolute panic mode right now as actual voter data is coming in, showing the momentum on Vice President Kamala Harris's side. So you see that he is now begging his supporters to go out to the polls, seeing that he is getting crushed in these early voting numbers. Let me show you just an example right now of the voters at the Donald Trump rally. Byron Donalds, the congressman from Florida, asked the crowd in Michigan, the very tiny crowd, by the way, we'll get to that in just a second. He asked this crowd, who here has voted already? You could basically hear a pin drop as they respond. Watch this.
You got to get out and vote. Who here has voted already? That's pretty good. Who's getting out to vote tomorrow?
Yeah, I don't think that sounded pretty good at all. That actually sounds like a complete and total disaster. And by the way, it's backed up by the data. More on that in a second. Let's watch CNN report that Trump was unable to fill that rally and they had to rearrange things to make it look like there were a lot of people there for TV. Watch this.
That's right. So we are here in downtown Detroit. We're in this pretty large venue. You can't really tell, Aaron, from where you are. I mean, right behind me, you can see the crowd. But behind the camera, where I'm speaking toward, it's actually pretty empty. They have not been able to fill this. And I'll also tell you that it took us more than 2 hours. They were 2 hours delayed in getting us into the venue today. And so there are questions about, I'm told it was not a security issue, according to two Secret Service officials. So questions about whether they were, changing some of the optics in here. So that's just one thing to...
Yeah, perhaps saying Detroit is a horrible city is a bad idea to win the state of Michigan. But what do I know, Donald? Meanwhile, when Donald Trump got on stage, his microphone quickly stopped working. He then paced the rally stage in silence for nearly 20 minutes. It was completely awkward. And then he ended up blaming the staff. He ended up blaming the venue. He threatened to sue the venue. You could see Donald Trump here looking absolutely miserable while he just waddled around on stage like a total mess. This was the sign that they displayed at the rally. Technical difficulties, complicated business. I think this basically sums up the Trump campaign at this moment. When the microphone began to work, what did Donald Trump do? Well, of course, he blamed the city of Detroit. Watch this.
And I don't want him to get up and use this crappy microphone that they sent. I don't want him to do that. I want to keep him good and healthy. Unlike Trump, I want him to have his voice tomorrow. When I get up tomorrow and I can't speak, I'm going to say Detroit did it to me, but that's...
It's an interesting closing message as we head into the final days of the 2024 election. Now, I want to show you something here which I think is really indicative of what's going on behind the scenes. A private Republican memo to donors is now sounding the alarm for House Republicans. We saw one of these memos leak related to the Senate about a week ago. Now one is getting out there related to the Republican House. A memo obtained by CNN shows the Congressional Leadership Fund worried about many of their congresspeople's elections. They are saying that the Los Angeles area is, quote, increasingly the most significant battleground nationwide, with fears about their candidates in those areas. And here's an interesting tidbit from that leaked memo. Quote, the political environment is worse for Republicans than it was in 2020 in a few suburban districts, namely Omaha and throughout Arizona. This is a concern with three valued incumbents, Bacon, Ciscomani, and Schweikert. Now, this is quite interesting because this is the reverse of the strength that Trump and the Republicans are trying to project. You start to see this panic forming, and I'm going to show you more of this panic in a little bit, but I promised that I would dive into the data. So let me give you the latest updates here. With 18 days to go, Detroit is now at the 50% return rate for absentee mail-in early ballots, with nearly 107,000 ballots sent out. Detroit is 8% ahead of the statewide ballots. That bodes very, very well for Vice President Kamala Harris and the Democrats. Perhaps Donald Trump should I'm not going to give him advice. I was going to say maybe he should stop offending the city of Detroit, but you keep doing you, Donald. How about that? Let's go over to the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. Here's the data as of Friday. Over 500,000 ballots returned from the Democrats. That is a massive number, 500,000. Then 212,000 from the Republicans, 73,000 for independents. I want to be clear that this data does not tell you who is voting, like who they voted for. It is just telling you what their party registration is. So we could also surmise that there is at least a small percentage of those Republicans early voting for Vice President Kamala Harris. And I would bet as well that those independents and non-affiliated voters, that many of them are also voting for Vice President Kamala Harris. But in just the raw registration numbers, we now see 63.9% of the ballots that have been submitted are Democratic ballots, 26.8% Republican, 9.3% independent, unaffiliated. But remember, those Republican and unaffiliated, they could also be Democratic ballots, seeing what we've seen in the primaries with the amount of voters breaking away from Donald Trump for the Democratic candidate. This is a big deal, and we are just seeing a surge of enthusiasm like we have not seen in a while. Tom Bonnier, great data guy who runs Target Smart, who we've had on the show. Be sure to watch Ben's interviews with Tom Bonnier and Simon Rosenberg, by the way. He reports that from September 11th to September 13th, compared to 2020, voters under 30 were 61% of all new registrations, compared to 45%. Hispanic women under 30 increased by, get this, 188%, and Black women under 30 increased by 137%. I just think this is actual hard data that is not being picked up by all of these polls. I promised I would show you panic. Well, let me show you Lindsey Graham on Fox on Friday. Watch this.
We're getting creamed. We're getting outspent 4 and 5 and 6 and 8 and 10 to 1. The conservative world needs to step up and help these men and women who are running for the Senate to help President Trump. I'm going to give $600 tonight.
You know, if there's anything I've learned in my career, it's that if someone is given an opportunity, their hard work can pay off. But as with anything in business, some companies do things the right way and some, well, don't. That's why I'm excited to partner with a brand that is doing things the right way and is living up to the true American spirit. And they're called American Giant. While many companies send jobs overseas, American Giant is pushing back. They make high-quality clothing and activewear right here in the USA. I'm talking about everything from sweatshirts and jeans to jackets and dresses. It's all made with care right here at home. I've been wearing American Giant for a bit now, and the quality is unbeatable. The fabric feels amazing, and the durability, well, I'm still wearing the same sweatshirt I got months ago, and it's just getting softer with time. They really do obsess over every detail, and you can tell that it's made to last. And my favorite part, it's more than just clothes. It's about supporting local communities and American workers. Now, if you're looking for something incredibly comfortable and durable, check out their French Terry collection, from joggers to sweatshirts. It's perfect for that cozy yet put together look. I personally love their classic full zip hoodie. It's the piece that put them on the map. With custom heavyweight fleece and side panels for mobility, this hoodie is built to last. I reach for it whether I'm out for a casual day or just lounging at home. When you buy American Giant, you're not just getting high quality clothes, you're creating jobs in towns that rely on them. And right now, you can get 20% off your first order at American-Giant.com when you use the code Meidas at checkout. That's 20% off your first order at American-Giant with code Meidas, M-E-I-D-A-S. Support local jobs, get yourself some incredible clothes, and feel great about what you're wearing. Thanks to American Giant for sponsoring this show. Yeah, that does not sound like somebody coming from a position of strength at all. And you know what else doesn't sound like someone coming from a position of strength? Donald Trump and his social media feed, which is getting more deranged by the day. Donald Trump on Friday was retruthing, as he calls it. He was reposting these kind of QAnon conspiracy accounts. And he reposted this meme that said, January 6th will go down in history as the day the government staged a riot to cover up the fact that they certified a fraudulent election. He's going all in on election denialism as his closing message. Once again, bold move. Let's see if it pays off. Donald Trump also reposting himself here, where he writes, anybody that cheats on the election is going to jail. Hey, aren't you being prosecuted for your election scheme? You might want to, it sounds like you're talking about yourself again there, Donald Trump. All right, well, let's look at what else we got from yesterday. Donald Trump on Fox, also a bizarre closing message right here. He's asked by a child what his favorite farm animal is, and he starts ranting like a lunatic that Vice President Kamala Harris, if she becomes president, we won't have any cows anymore. Watch this.
What's your favorite farm animal?
Favorite farm animal? What's the animal?
Well, this guy grew up in the city.
I'll tell you what I love. I love cows. But if we go with Kamala, you won't have any cows anymore because you're not allowed. I don't want to ruin this kid's day. But I love cows. I think they're so cute and so beautiful and so protective. But according to Kamala, who's a radical left lunatic, you will not have any cows anymore. So,
as I keep saying, quite the closing message, quite the closing message going into Election Day. Meanwhile, Donald Trump held this other event in Michigan on Friday where he appeared to be falling asleep, as you could see in this footage that is playing right now. His eyes continually shut. He was very low energy, and this comes after reports from Donald Trump's own staff that he has been too exhausted to take interviews and has had to be pulled out of interviews and events and has been unfit to actually do the job. This is an admission from his own staff. And so we have Vice President Harris out there now rightfully calling this out. If you can't handle the campaign trail and doing these interviews, how can you handle the job of being president? Vice President Harris absolutely nailed it on Friday. Watch this.
It's good to be back. And again, we have a situation where the former president is insulting the people of the state, this time saying that auto workers that their important and good and highly skilled work could be performed by a child, which is just further evidence that Donald Trump comes from a place where he really does not appreciate or understand how most people in our country work very hard for all that they have and that there is great dignity in their work. In addition, I've been hearing reports that his team at least is saying he's suffering from exhaustion. And that's apparently the excuse for why he's not doing interviews. And of course, he's not doing the CNN town hall. He refuses to do another debate. And, look, being president of the United States is probably one of the hardest jobs in the world. And so we really do need to ask if he's exhausted being on the campaign trail. Is he fit to do the job? And I think that's a question that is an open-ended question that he needs to answer.
And then she also brought it up at her rally in Grand Rapids, Michigan. Check this out.
And now he is ducking debates and canceling interviews. Come on. And check this out. His own campaign team recently said it is because of exhaustion. Well, if you are exhausted on the campaign trail, it raises real questions about whether you are fit for the toughest job in the world.
Now let's contrast that with the closing message from Donald Trump's spokesperson and horrific lawyer, ex-lawyer, I don't even know what her job is right now, Alina Habba. Let's watch this.
I'm supposed to be able to shoot other than the fucking bird. You couldn't tell that bird was night.
Make America great again.
Yeah, it's weird. Weird. Meanwhile, Barack Obama yesterday brought the heat in Tucson, Arizona. He said if your grandpa was acting like Donald Trump, you would be a little concerned. Watch this.
He called himself the father of IVF. I do not know what that means. You do not either. He said January 6th was a day of love. Do not boo, vote. It made January 6th sound like it was Woodstock. You would be worried if your grandpa was acting like this. No, I'm not joking. You would, right? You'd call up your cousins and you say, have you noticed? So imagine it coming from a guy who wants to be given unchecked power. Tucson, we do not need to see what an older, loonier Donald Trump looks like with no guardrails. We have had enough of arrogance and bumbling and bluster and division. America's ready to turn the page. We're ready for a better story. We are ready for a President Kamala Harris.
So I think you see a really big difference here, and I think the data is quite apparent. When you see Donald Trump kind of sleeping at these events and you see him yelling at the crowd, the very tiny crowd, by the way, in these empty arenas, when they ask the crowd, have you voted? Do you plan on voting? And barely anybody speaks. When you look at the voter rolls and you see the people who are actually submitting ballots, it tells a story. Tells a story when you look at Vice President Harris's events and you see these lines down the block, you see this energy, you see this enthusiasm. That to me is way more impactful than any poll. And I don't think any poll is quite picking up the actual energy and enthusiasm that there is right now and what is actually happening across America as people say emphatically, we are not going back. Hey, thank you so much for watching this video. I really appreciate it. Remember to subscribe. Help us get to 3.5 million subscribers. Only you could help us do that. So hit subscribe right now. If you're already subscribed, hit the notification bell next to the subscribe button. That means you get alerted every time we post a new video. Thanks again for watching. I'll see you soon.
Real quick, Meta just changed their algorithm to suppress political content. Please follow our Instagram @MeidasTouch right now as we head towards 400,000 followers so you don't miss a beat.